All rise. We will be. The International Criminal Court is now in session. The Audience of the Court Penal International. It over. Please be seated.
Thank you very much. Court officer, the case, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The situation in the Republic of Kenya, in the case of the prosecutor against William Samuel Ruto and Joshua Arap Singh, ICC 0109-0111. We are in open session.
Thank you. Appearances.
Thank you, Your Honours. For the prosecution, appearances remain the same, save that Yasmina Suljanovic replaces Grace Go as case manager.
Good morning, Your Honours. On our side, our appearance remains the same. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honours. Mr. Sang's team remains the same.
Good morning, Mr. President, Your Honours. Mr. Ruto's team remains the same.
Thank you very much. And in Nairobi, Mr. Mutai, I see that you are present.
Yes, Mr. President.
Thank you very much for the witness. Mr. Fowl, witness, you will continue with the witness. Before that, again, give us an indication of what we expect in terms of time, completion of the exercise.
Mr. President, my aim is to finish as at the end of this first session. In the event that is not possible, I would not take more than 20 minutes of the second session.
And Mr. Kinkatwa?
Mr. President, I still propose to complete within one session of 1.5 hours.
So far, Mrs. Steinberg, do you see a need to re-examine that far?
Your Honours, there are some isolated aspects I do intend to return to, which may involve calling up some defence exhibits. I'll try to be as efficient as possible. I expect maybe 15 to 20 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Fowl. Witness, welcome back. And Mr. Fowl will continue asking you questions.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We are now in open session. Mr. Fowl, we remain here in open?
Yes, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. Witness, and welcome back.
Good morning and thank you.
May I remind you that you are still under oath? Do you understand?
Yes.
And please also remember the advice the President had given you to listen carefully to the questions asked before you answer the question. Do you understand?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, when we closed on Friday, we were talking about the ODM rally in Kapkatet on 21 December, in which Honorable Raila Odinga was said to have arrived at 2 p.m. and accompanied by Honorable William Ruto, among others. Do you remember that?
Yes.
This morning, I wish to first talk about the youth rally you mentioned in your diary as having taken place at Honorable Ruto's house on 24 December 2007. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And in your second statement, that is tab 2 in your honours binders, and OTP Exhibit 133, paragraph 29, there you stated that I have entered at 24 December 2007 in my diary, and then certain events that I would not read out. And then you continued by saying that a youth rally at Ruto's home. And then you went on to say, I entered this in my 2007 diary sometime before this date, and I later transferred this to the 2008 diary. I entered the youth rally at Ruto in the 2008 diary in that same day, in the evening, I entered youth rally at Ruto's home in my 2007 diary, perhaps a few days later. That is what you told the prosecution. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So, in your statement to the prosecution, there was a youth rally on 24 December rather, at Honorable Ruto's house in 2007. That's what you said, wasn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, I would like to play a video for you, and then I'll follow it up with questions. Could you kindly play KEN-D09-0020-0009. It's a document that's been MFI'd previously. It's MFI-D09-00040. And the translation is contained in tab 37 of your honors binder, and it's KEN-D09-0020-0031.
Mr. Fall, is the video public?
Yes, it is public.
Thank you.
Haya, tumemaliza. Sasa tukaribishe kijana chipukizi William Ruto.
You may stop it there. Mr. Witness, this video was shot on 24 December 2007, and this was the last ODM rally before the election. Ruto was in Nairobi in this function and not at his home holding a youth rally. What do you say to that?
I accept.
Mr. President, this is a document that had been seen previously, and we admitted it together with several newspapers which showed the date of the rally. I do not wish to go over that point because it's a matter that had previously been dealt with. And I can just cite the ERN numbers for your honest reference later. But I just want to leave this point at that and move on. And Mr. Witness, before I move further, could you tell us why you accept?
Because in my diary I'd said that I wrote it last year. So it was not true.
At the time you spoke to the prosecution, were you in fact aware that on 24 December 2007, Honorable William Ruto and ODM members were holding their final rally in Nairobi?
I was not aware.
And that's why you lied about that date, was it? The reason?
Yes.
And Mr. President, just for the record, the document I talked about is the Daily Nation article of 25th December 2007. It is KEN-D09-0020-0006. Mr. Witness, I would now move on. Perhaps before I do that, I should, this document too had been previously MFI'd, This time around, Mr. President, perhaps I should ask that it be exhibited. A video speaks for itself. It's KEN-0020-0009 together with the transcript. But let's first start with the video.
Your Honours, my learned friend has not laid any basis for a change in the status of this video based on the 3 seconds he's played for this witness. The witness wasn't at that rally. He can't comment.
That's a fair observation, Mr. President. Perhaps I just assumed that it shouldn't be a difficult. Mr. Witness, did you see any images of the ODM final rally held at Nyayo Stadium?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. And Mr. President, since the document had been previously MFI'd, I would not ask for anything to be done with it any further, since I do agree that the objection with regards to exhibiting it is a valid point. Excuse me, Mr. President, let me consult. Mr. President, my colleagues have just suggested to me to raise the concern that the prosecution has had this video for 7 months or more, and the relevant newspapers that support the assertions contained in this video. Yet they did not bother to investigate this and decided to lead evidence which directly runs afoul to this particular video. But that said, I'll move on to the next issues. And Mr. Witness, the other issue you talked about in your diary was a 26 November women visit to Honorable Ruto at his home in Sugoi. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And this is contained in paras 31 and 32 of your diary, and of the statement, excuse me. And do you recall telling the prosecution that a woman died during the stampede at Honorable Ruto's house on this day?
Which statements now?
The second statement, Mr. President, it's tab 2 of your binder, the exhibit 133 of the prosecution exhibits, and it's KEN-OTP-0109-0071. And Mr. Witness, you said in describing this event that you heard that a woman was accidentally crossed to death in the crowd at Honorable Ruto's home. There was a stampede. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And Mr. Witness, it's your evidence that Honorable Ruto used to hold this event on a yearly basis. Mr. President, perhaps for the record, there's a correction that needs to be made. It is 26 December on page 7, line 6. 26 December and not 26 November. Mr. Witness, are we together? I am talking about 26 December, an event you said took place at Honorable Ruto's home. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And it's your evidence that Honorable Ruto used to hold this event on a yearly basis, right?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, I want to play a video for you, and then I would follow it up with some questions. It's KEN -D09.
Mr. Fowl,
Yes, Mr. President.
when you say it says evidence, do you mean?
I mean in his statement, Mr. President. I must have misspoke. In his statement.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
May I play this video, KEN -D09-0036-0065. And the translation, Mr. President, is contained in tab 38. That is KEN -D09-0036-0066.
Kindly play the video.
Took its campaigns to Mombasa, Kisumu, and Eldoret. In Mombasa, the party's meeting was nearly disrupted by a group of rowdy youth. The party maintains that a Majimbo system of government will make Kenya a better place.
ODM leaders who included Najib Balala and Hassan Joho at the Kongoya market on a Meet the People tour. Business came to a standstill when the two arrived and immediately embarked on a tour of the market while interacting with the traders. The two were here to assure traders that if the ODM party wins the election, their current status would be improved. But as the leaders prepared to leave, chaos erupted briefly as supporters of ODM clashed with those of ODM Kenya and PNU. However, there were no injuries or damages as the supporters mostly engaged in a war of words. The ODM leaders later met a section of church leaders at the coast who vowed to support ODM. The group, calling itself Churches for Change, wants ODM leaders to ensure that they make good their promises to Kenyans. Elsewhere in Eldoret, ODM Pentagon member William Ruto hosted a group of women from the area where he said the current system of centralized government had slowed down development in the rural areas.
Wale wanaopinga serikali ya mashinani ama serikali ya majimbo ni matajiri na watu ambao hawaamini uchumi wa Kenya hii inapaswa kuwa katika mikono ya kina mama na vijana.
Ruto wanda
Mr. Witness, this was the only women's meeting at Honorable Ruto's house in 2007, and this took place in October. What do you say to that?
I will agree.
And Mr. Witness, are you aware that in Kenya it is unlawful to hold a political meeting, a political rally, 2 days before the election? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Are you aware of that, Mr. Witness?
Yes.
And 26 December 2007 would have been 1 day before the election of 2007, correct?
Yes.
And Mr. Witness, if Honorable Ruto had held a women's meeting in his home of such a size that there was a stampede in which one woman died, such an event would have been reported in the press, would it not?
Disallowed. That's an argumentative question.
Mr. President, I missed what you just said.
That was an argument.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll rephrase the question. Mr. Witness, you agree that if Honorable Ruto had held...
There you go again, Mr. Fowl. Always the signal is the if.
Mr. Witness, there was no report of this event in the newspapers, was it?
I don't know.
I put it to you, Mr. Witness, that the event you talked about did not take place at all. What do you say to that?
I agree that it never took place at all.
And where did you get this story from about a woman killed in a stampede at Ruto's home?
It was my own creation.
Mr. Fowler, the question shouldn't have been asked. The witness said he had. According to this statement, do we need to ask him where he got it from?
I mean about the stampede. He heard that a woman died, and but I guess your observation was a fair one, Mr. President. And the witness did answer the question. In any case, I'll move on, Mr. President, if that is all right. And Mr. Witness, the other thing you talked about in your statement was the powers of Honorable William Ruto. I am referring...
Do we have your microphone?
Yes, it's on.
Yeah.
It is on, Mr. President.
All right, now I can hear you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, I would... Perhaps before I move on, I should ask that this video be admitted into evidence. Mr. President, it's a news video. It was a news item by NTV, and that by itself gives it sufficient indicia of reliability. It was not produced for the purposes of litigation. It was contemporaneous with the events, Mr. President. And on that basis, we ask that it be admitted into evidence. It is KEN-DO9-0036-0065.
Mr. Steinberg?
No objection, Your Honor.
We have no objection, Your Honor.
The video will be admitted as the next Ruto defense exhibit.
And, Mr. President, may I also ask that the transcript...
Let her finish with...
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The document KEN-D09-0036-0065, public, will bear the number EVD T D09-00258.
Mr. President, may I ask that the transcript contained in tab 38, KEN-D09-0036-0066 be also admitted into evidence.
No objection, Your Honor, subject to the normal caveat.
We have no objection, Your Honor.
Admitted as the next Ruto defense exhibit.
The public document KEN-D09-0036-0066 will bear the number EVD T D09-00259.
And Mr. Witness, do you realize that when you gave your statement to the prosecution, after talking about your biographical information, your diaries, and your motivation, the next thing you talked about, without even discussing the PEV, was Honorable William Ruto? Do you realize that?
Yes.
That would be paragraph 20, Mr. President. And Mr. Witness, why did you do that?
Your Honours, I wonder if this is a fair question, bearing in mind that this is a statement which was taken by OTP investigators, and no doubt the investigators would have been putting questions to the witness. The structure of the statement is not something of the witness's making.
Mr. President, the statement is not just taken out of the blue. It is taken on the basis of the existence of certain facts. That is what the witness is telling the prosecution. The witness was the person who was present in that interview. My learned friend opposite was not present, neither was I. He should be able to explain how and why that happened. Only that we find it odd that is what happened. The witness is in a position to explain why that happened.
But the prosecutor objected on the basis of certain expertise he would have about how things are done in the OTP and how lawyers do things, in fact, when they take information from the witness and for purposes of litigation and arrange it a certain way.
Mr. President, fortunately, I also have that same expertise, and from both angles, from the investigative angle and from the prosecution angle. And I find this odd. Perhaps the witness should be given an opportunity to explain why he just suddenly went to talk about William Ruto without even talking about the PVV. What was the motivation? Was there any particular reason?
The objection is sustained.
I'll move on, Mr. President. Thank you very much. Mr. Witness, you indicated to the OTP that Honorable William Ruto was referred to as Kirgit, which literally means bull in Kalenjin. And you also said it meant king. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, as far as you know, do Kalenjins have king?
They don't have.
And even though you are aware that Kalenjins don't have kings, you refer to Honorable Ruto as king.
Yes.
Now, where are you looking at?
I am looking at paragraph 21 of 20 or 21 of his first statement, Mr. President.
Paragraph 20.
Yes. Paragraph 20, Just a moment, Mr. President.
It is a paragraph 20.
Yes, paragraph 20, Mr. President. And why did you do that?
It was to show that William Ruto was so influential.
And you supported that assertion by giving an example of a politician who won elections because of Honorable Ruto's support in 2002. Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, in 2002, didn't Honorable Ruto campaign or led the campaign for Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta under the KANU ticket?
Yes, he led.
Did Honorable Kenyatta win the elections?
No.
What do you mean by no? He lost, didn't he?
Yes, he lost.
And Mr. Witness, do you know a person called Isaac Mayo?
Yes, I know him.
Did he contest in the last elections, the URP nominations? Are you aware?
Can you hold up on that and return to that question later? But do we have information as to how well Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta fared in the Rift Valley region in the polling of 2002?
I did not have that information, Mr. President, and that's the reason why I just moved away from it.
Yes, but that should have been there, shouldn't it?
I agree, Mr. President.
Yes.
My understanding is that Kibaki was leading in the rift, but
you need to put...
I agree, Mr. President. I did not have the information. Perhaps I should not have put in that question. Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Witness, you know a person called Isaac Mayo? Do you?
Yes, I know him.
Did he contest for the URP nomination for Parliament?
Yes.
Do you know whether Isaac Mayo received the support of Honorable William Ruto or not?
I don't know.
And do you know Honorable Biseinei Elisha?
Yes, I know him.
And do you know whether Biseinei received the support of Honorable Ruto?
I don't know.
Well, Mr. Witness, I put it to you that Honorable Ruto supported Isaac Mayo, and he lost. What do you say to that?
I don't know. But I know Isaac Mayo lost.
Do you know...
What seat now?
It's the nomination for the URP party for the Member of Parliament for Turbo.
Sorry, Your Honours, in which election are we still talking about? 2002?
No, we're talking about 2013 elections. And do you know Dr. Julius Bitok?
Yes, I know him.
Do you know his relationship with Honorable Ruto?
I don't know.
Do you know that Dr. Julius Bitok contested against Honorable Jackson Mandago for the URP nomination for Governor of Uasin Gishu in 2013?
Yes, I know.
And you are not aware, Mr. Witness, that Dr. Julius Bitok received the support of Honorable William Ruto?
I was not aware.
But you are aware that Honorable Jackson Mandago won that election?
Yes, I am aware.
Can you spell the names? Bitok, for instance, this is trouble in the transcript for the spelling.
Bitok is B-I-T-O-K. Dr. Julius Bitok. Bitok, B-I-T-O-K. And Honorable Jackson Mandago. Mandago is spelled M-A-N-D-A-G-O. And Mr. Witness, you know Honorable David Koros, don't you?
I have heard of him.
And are you aware that he was a member of Parliament for Eldoret South, while Honorable Ruto was member of Parliament for Eldoret North?
Yes, I am aware.
And are you aware that Honorable David Koros was friends with Honorable William Ruto?
No, I don't know.
And are you aware that Honorable David Koros lost the ODM nomination in 2007 to Honorable Peris Simam?
Yes, I know.
And Mr. Witness, I'll give you other examples. Honorable Mr. Sirma was a very close friend of Honorable William Ruto. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Are you aware that in 2007 he received the support of Honorable William Ruto?
Yes.
And Honorable Musa Sirma lost to Honorable Moses Lesonet in the Eldama Ravine 2007 ODM nomination. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And Mr. Witness...
What's the transcript, Mr. Fowl?
Yes, Eldama Ravine, paragraph page 17, line 25. Eldamaravine is ELDAMARAVINE, Eldamaravine, and Lesonet is LESONET. And Mr. Witness, you know Honorable Joseph Lagat, do you?
Yes, I know.
David Koros, line 15, is Koros, K-O-R-O-S. And David Koros lost to Honorable Peris Simam, P-E-R-I-S, Simam, S-I-M-A-M. And moving on, Mr. Witness, you know Honorable Joseph Lagat, don't you?
Yeah, I know him.
And he was Member of Parliament together with Honorable William Ruto, correct?
Yes.
And they are friends, aren't they? Are you aware of that?
I don't know if they are friends.
Are you aware that in 2007, the nomination for ADM, Member of Parliament for Eldoret East, that Honorable William Ruto supported Honorable Joseph Lagat? Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And Honorable Joseph Lagat lost to Honorable Margaret Kamar. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
Kamar is K-A-M-A-R. So, Mr. Witness, when you told the prosecution that Kalenjins would support the person Ruto told them to support, you were lying to the prosecution, weren't you?
Yes.
In fact, Mr. Witness, for most of the time, candidates that Honorable Ruto comes out to openly support often lose. And, Mr. Witness, it is the case that the only land you have is your share in your family land and nothing more?
Yes.
And, sir, your financial situation as a whole is a very difficult one, is it not?
It is.
And this is, sir, the reason why the person you call the lady, or her promises of money and better life for yourself and your children, seduced you to give false evidence? Is that the case?
Yes.
And, Mr. Witness, I note that your first substantive interview took place from July 6 to 8 in 2013. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And did you receive any money from the prosecution during this period you were meeting with them for accommodation and travel or for whatever purpose?
Yes.
Do you recall how much you received, sir?
No, I don't recall.
You were paid cash, were you not?
Yes, I was paid cash.
And after the meeting, after spending or after expenditures, you had some amount left, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall how much was left?
No, I don't recall.
Did you have to provide the prosecution with any receipts for this payment, sir?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Witness. Your Honor, sir, we're looking at tab 90, that is KEN-OTP-0138-0059. And I note that there is no mention in this.
1 second. Tab what?
Tab 90.
90.
Yes, Mr. President. We note Mr. President, that in tab 90, there is no record of payments made to this witness with respect to his meeting with the prosecution from 6 to 8 July 2013. So, Mr. President, we apply that this document, the OTP witness-related expenses, be admitted into evidence.
Mr. Steinberg?
Your Honours, I have no objection to the admission of this document.
Your Honour, I have no objection.
The document will be admitted as the next Ruto defense exhibit.
The confidential document KEN OTP 01380059 will bear the number EVD T D09000260.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. Now, Mr. Witness, let me move on to another meeting you had with the OTP. And we understand that the interview date was 13 November 2013, and you were interviewed from 11:45 a.m. to 9 p.m. Do you accept that, Mr. Witness?
Yes.
In fact, this is the subject of your statement contained in tab 38, that is KEN-OTP-0117-1019. And Mr. Witness, did the prosecution give you any money with respect to that meeting for accommodation, allowances, or other expenses?
Yes.
Do you recall how much you were given, Mr. Witness?
No.
Did you have anything left after expenses?
Yes.
Do you recall how much?
No.
Did you have to provide receipts to the OTP?
No.
Your Honor, we again note that the payments to the witness for the 13 November interview are missing in the schedule that was provided. This schedule has just been admitted into evidence, so perhaps we can ask Mr. Steinberg to...
What did you refer to?
Mr. President, tab 90, the document that had just been admitted into evidence, is the schedule of payments by the OTP to the witness. Not VWU, schedule of payments by the OTP.
At tab 90?
Yes, Mr. President. A perusal of it would not show this payment that the witness talked about. That is his meeting with the prosecution on 13 November 2007.
Your Honor, I may just point out that the 13 November 2007 interview was an interview in the Article 70 investigation that would, in normal circumstances, have been captured on a separate schedule. But I'll have a look into that and see what's going on.
Mr. President, we believe that that is something that should have been disclosed, at least to the defense.
Prosecutors say they will look at the matter and see what they can find.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll move on. Mr. Witness, I note from your affidavit, that is paragraph 11 of your affidavit, contained in KenyaMOJA.com -0-1135 tab 55, Mr. President. That in September 2013, OTP investigators told you to relocate from where you lived to Nairobi due to security reasons. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, you made complaints to the OTP about your security situation or risk you were facing during that period, did you?
Yes.
Mr. Witness, was it true that you were facing any security issues in September 2013 or prior to that?
I was only fearing that if the name is disclosed, it would not be good.
Mr. Witness, isn't the truth that you did not have any security issues which required you to move?
Don't answer the question now, witness. We'll go into private session.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was going to move into private session if he said yes, but this is a good time to go into private session.
We are now in private session. Mr. Fall, please. We are in open session, Mr. President.
So, Mr. Witness, just to confirm, you are receiving approximately 77,000 Kenya shillings every 2 weeks, correct?
Yes.
The prosecution has disclosed to us that they were paying you a sum of more than $900 twice a month between December 2013 and April 2014 just for subsistence allowance. That is more than 82,000 Kenya shillings twice a month for subsistence allowance, Mr. Witness, for the relevant period of December to April 2014. That is correct, isn't it?
Yes.
And for the month of January 2014, the prosecution tells us that they paid you subsistence allowance totaling to 1,868. This is about 165,000 Kenya shillings for the month of January for subsistence allowance. Do you agree? It's 1,868 US dollars, which is about 165,000 Kenya shillings for January. Do you agree?
Yes.
And can you help us understand, Mr. Witness, does this include monies for rent, school fees, or was that separate?
It includes.
And Mr. Witness, an amount of over 165,000 shillings that you received for January alone, is that is what you would earn for over a period of 2 years, Mr. Witness, in your previous situation?
Objection argumentative.
I mean, the maths is there to be done, but the witness has answered. I'll move on. And the witness said yes. And looking at the records provided to us by the prosecution, we see that in April 2014 alone, you received the sum of US dollars 3,015, which is about 267,000 Kenya shillings. Is that right, Mr. Witness?
No.
Well, the prosecution documents indicate that this is what you received, $3,015.77, which is about 200.
Well, you see, the thing is you're asking compound questions, maybe one at a time. I realize you want to finish quickly, but
yes.
Still.
I would break it off. The prosecution told us that you received 3,015 US dollars, equivalent to 267,000 Kenyan
So
shillings.
let's take, did they receive dollars or shillings? One at a time. All this conversion may be complicating matters.
Your Honours, if I can maybe just assist, the witness obviously would have received the local currency of wherever the expenses were incurred. For reasons of not identifying the locations of various meetings, they are converted into dollars for the purpose of the schedules at the prevailing exchange rates at the time of the payment. So the exchange rates at today's date might not be the same.
Mr. Witness, did you receive 267,000 Kenya shillings in April or thereabout?
I don't remember.
Sir, we only have records of payments made by the prosecution. We do not know the total amounts you have received from the Victims and Witness Unit. Do you understand me?
Yes.
And from the records provided to us by the prosecution, it shows that between December 2013 and April 2014, the amount of money that has been given to you as subsistence allowance only amounts to 5,186 US dollars, or equivalent to 460,000 Kenya shillings in 5 months. You accept that, Mr. Witness?
Yeah, I believe it is true.
In addition to the subsistence allowance, did the prosecution or VWU give you monies for any other purpose?
No.
Would you agree with me, Mr. Witness, that for the standards that you are used to and the lifestyle you have, which the prosecution accepts, was a struggle for you, such sums of money is exorbitant? Would you agree?
Objection argumentative, Your Honour.
Mr. President, I think the witness is able to answer for himself whether this is exorbitant or not.
Objection sustained.
Thank you, Mr. President.
If you can reformulate it in a way that's not argumentative, you may take a shot at it. But that question was.
Mr. Witness, were you surprised at the amounts of money you were being paid?
Yes.
And it is this kind of money, sir, that you described in your testimony earlier as fantastic and wonderful, monies which led you to tell lies against Honorable William Ruto?
Yes.
Sir, we were told by the prosecution, or excuse me, let me reformulate. Were you told by the prosecution or the VWU that they would assist you to set up life after you testified? For example, to assist you to set up a business? Were you told that?
Yes.
Were you asked to provide a business plan or a proposal to set yourself up in life?
No.
This assistance they were to give you after your testimony, do you recall what it entails? Could you tell the court?
Yes, I was told that they were going to assist me as I look for an option in life that will make me meet my requirements, and they were ready to assist me in any plan that I was to propose to them.
Did you eventually propose a plan to them?
No.
Sir, I looked at paragraphs marked 1. May I refer to defense bundle, tab 85, KEN-OTP-0138-0062, specifically at page 63. And Mr. Witness, I look specifically at the paragraph marked 1. It could be displayed for the witness, but not broadcast out of the transmission room, please. It's KEN-OTP-0138-0063. And sir, this is what it says.
The document is being presented to the witness.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. And paragraph 1 says, VWU did not clear the 28,000 Kenya shillings at the hotel where ... stays with his family. Instead, ... received a phone call from redacted and then from redacted inviting him to a meeting. He only received 3,000 Kenya shillings for this trip.
Hold on, Mr. Fowl. Hold on. A private session for a quick moment.
We're in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. And Mr. Witness, the document reads, VWU did not clear the 28,000 Kenya shillings bill at the hotel where P604 stays with his family. Instead, P604 received a phone call from redacted and then from redacted inviting him for a meeting in redacted. He only received 3,000 Kenya shillings for this trip to redacted, nothing else. So, Mr. Witness, can you explain what that was about and why the VWU did not pay your claimed hotel bill of 28,000 Kenya shillings and only gave you 3,000 Kenya shillings?
Witness, hold on. We go to private session.
We're in open session, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Court Officer. So, Mr. Witness, we just want you to give an estimate. Between June 2013 to date, can you tell the court, apart from subsistence allowance and paying of personal loans, did you receive any other monies from the ICC?
No.
Are you able to estimate from the time you came into contact with the prosecution to date, that is 27 June to date, what is the total sum of money you have received from the ICC, be it prosecution or VWU, the sum total you have received?
I can't estimate that now.
Rough idea, hundreds of thousands of shillings? Million?
Should be hundreds.
Hundreds of thousands, you mean to say?
Yes. Yes.
And you are surprised by those payments, weren't you?
Mr. Fall, do you have figures you can put to the witness?
Mr. President, we cannot tell. We have put to the witness what's been disclosed to us, and that's the sum total I recall was about 5,186. That is for subsistence allowance. That's for subsistence allowance alone. In US dollars, 5,186, which is 460,000 Kenya shillings for 5 months. There are other payments, of course, which we do not know about. And VWU payments are not included.
Why don't you start with that? See what the witness says for that figure.
Mr. Witness, I had asked you previously that between December 2013 to April 2014, according to the documents provided by the prosecution, you were paid only for subsistence allowance the sum of 5,186 United States dollars, which is equivalent to at least 460,000 Kenya shillings. What do you say to that?
Yes, it can be true.
Mr. Fall, can you explain what's in subsistence allowance? What is contemplated by that? Through questioning of the witness.
Yes. Mr. Witness, can you explain what these sums of money were intended for? And please remember we are in public session.
Yes, it was for accommodation and daily activities.
Did it include school fees?
I don't know if it included school fees.
Actually, according to the disclosure by the prosecution, it involved transport, food and beverage. Is that right?
Yes.
Communication. Is that right?
Yes.
Accommodation.
Yes.
Hold on, Mr. President. Let me just consult with my colleagues.
Your Honours, I think my learned friend's mistaken. According to the schedule, where it says transportation, food, beverage, accommodation, these will normally be expenses for when the witness had to travel for meetings to meet with the OTP. The subsistence allowance covers the witness's daily living expenses in his relocated location.
Mr. President, actually, if you look at the disclosure, the amounts expended on this witness amounted to $11,406 US dollars by both the VWU and the prosecution. And the sums I had cited relate only to subsistence allowance. So occasionally it says subsistence allowance in relocation. So those are the only sums that I have mentioned. But the total sums, according to the OTP disclosure, expended on this witness would amount to $11,406 US. Perhaps I can move on, Mr. President.
Yes, you should.
So, Mr. Witness, I would now move on to other issues. Mr. President, perhaps before I do so, this is a convenient time to stop. Perhaps I would have to go back on my promise. I still have a few issues to address. And I had also spoken to Mr. Katwakige that between the two teams we can share the rest of the time for the next session. And hopefully we would be able, well, at least I think I should be able to finish in 30 or 40 minutes at the most. Thank you, Mr. President.
Your Honor, yes, perhaps I can just correct, sorry, this monitor. Correct my learned friend. The schedule, there was a second schedule disclosed on the 28th of August relating to the Article 70 expenses, including the interview on the 13th of November 2013. The reference is KenOTP 01380509. My learned friend can perhaps familiarize himself with that over the break.
And while we're in that, in light of the time pressure or time questions, do you anticipate that we will start with the next witness today?
Your Honours, I've been informed by the VW that it would not be possible to start with the witness today.
All right, then let's leave it at that. So that may give you more time to explore what you need to explore after you've seen the material that the prosecutor has just brought to your attention. We will adjourn and come back in 30 minutes.
All right, we will.